Welcome, everybody. It is build day. It is Thursday, March 28th, 2024, as I record this, and I am building the new Mode 65. I'm not totally sure what to call this thing. I've heard it called the new Mode 65, the Mode 65 2024. My shipping manifest said 65 V2. I might call it any of those things, but we're building the Mode 65 today. The third Mode 65 built on this channel, in fact. But this one's pretty cool because it is a prototype that they lovingly sent me to build and review on my channel as one of their affiliated content creators. That does mean if you buy anything from Mode using the link I will leave for you, usually in the description, I would assume. If you buy something using that link, I will get a small amount of money back. You don't pay any more, I guess, to incentivize me to encourage you to buy Mode products. I didn't need the money to encourage people to buy Mode products. They've been phenomenal so far, but do just keep that in mind. I am a Mode affiliate, and thus sometimes they send me stuff to review. So that's why we get this cool unit here today. Now the Mode 65 is the second reissue of a Mode board. The Mode 80 got a reissue in 2022. I did a review of that one. The Sonnet, Envoy, Loop, and Tempo are all in their first versions. But the 65 is back after 3 years, which is wild. And they've made a number of improvements. Aesthetically on the outside, it's really quite similar. But they've made some manufacturing improvements, some assembly improvements that I'm really excited about. And they've updated it to not only include lattice mount, but top mount at the same time, which is the first time for the lattice system. Super duper excited about that. As a comparison point for this video, I've got one of my original 65s here. Black aluminum bottom, white aluminum back, polycarbonate top, a little CRP R6. I forget what switches and plate. Doesn't matter. I'm just for construction notes. The build of this keyboard is quite unique, and so I wanted to have a comparison point nearby. But without further ado, let's open this up. I actually haven't opened this much past this yet, so we're going to discover it together. I did get to tell Mode exactly what I wanted this time, parts-wise, so that's super cool. And as far as I know, they obliged that. Yeah, so start with our little pockets. We've got they're calling this the badge. So this is a little circular puck with the Mode. Why do I always do this in the baggies? Why? It's just like a low-pass filter. Is that any better? That's a little bit better. There's a bubble right over Mode, but it says Mode in a little circle there. The silver mirror parts are steel. The black mirror parts, which I have some of, are brass. So some very heavy premium metals in here. But that's a little badge for the bottom. We'll come back to how that plays in a moment. We've got an absolute litany of lattice blocks. This one here is the top mount block. So it accomplishes the ISO top mount that Mode has used for a while filling the area that the lattice block takes up. We'll of course get a closer look at that. Fasteners, and okay, the hex key. I wanted to make sure I talked about this. This hex key is included with the review kits because the ball end screwdriver bit isn't ready yet. Consumer kits will come with a ball end bit because you need to hit some of the screws from an angle, so they gave me a ball end hex key with mine. I'll probably use my personal tools as usual, but just keep in mind you will get a full set of bits and a Mode screwdriver capable of assembling and disassembling this board. We've got a daughter board. I'm not going to be using this. We'll come back to why. It's a great daughter board. I'm just not using this one for a very specific reason we'll come back to. We've got new press-in feet. Oh, I got both colors. Cool. Black and gray. No more adhesive on the feet. They mentioned in their video that came out yesterday, as of recording this, they're trying to cut adhesives where possible in their boards, which I think is very admirable. Plate. This is one of Mode's newly offered plate materials. It is polypropylene. One of my absolute favorite plate materials right now. Very soft and has in my opinion, a sound I prefer over polycarbonate. So stoked about that. Okay, PCB. This will explain why I'm not using the daughter board that they sent me. Get this open here. the downside of doing this all live is there's lots of loud tape noises. This board uses the same PCB as... Why do I keep trying to do this in the bag? Uses the same physical layout as the Envoy does. This is a Gondo PCB. Was the Envoy PCB? I thought those were designed by Wolf. I'm very confused about who's making Mode's PCBs. They said it uses the Envoy PCB. They sent me a hot swap one. The reason I'm not going to use the daughter board they gave me is because Mode's hot swap still doesn't support split backspace, even though it's possible. I really wish Mode would fix that and support split backspace on hot swap, because then their hot swap PCBs would be perfect for me. So I'll be using my mil-maxed Envoy PCB, which I have mil-maxed with the split backspace format. So, fascinating. So they told me, I think it was Chris that told me, that Wolf was working with them on PCBs now. But this clearly has Gondo's branding on it. I've interviewed Gondo on the channel before. He's an awesome PCB designer. Or the tempo. Oh boy, I've reviewed so many Mode boards at this point. It's actually funnier now that these are subtly different, given that they are both Gondo. God, his logo was staring at me right here the whole time. Okay. Isn't that interesting? Okay, well, both Gondo PCBs. Watch my review with Gondo. It was great. He's very lovely. Super, super smart. I think it was the Tempo PCB that was Wolf. Sonnet? Boy, howdy. Whatever. I'm not going to use the PCB they sent me, because Mode doesn't support split backspace on hot swap, which continues to baffle me. So I'll be using my mil-maxed PCB. Hey, no BDZ on my finger. Which as an upside means I've already tested this PCB and I've got lubed and tested stabilizers, which is great. But look at me. Always, 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 always test your PCB and stabilizers. Don't mess it up. It doesn't take you very long. However, I've already done that. So that's why I'm not using the daughter board or PCB they sent me, because for some reason still no split backspace on hot swap. But that's what comes with. And if you're not a split backspace user, there you go. You're locked in. I said locked in like a bad thing. You're dialed in. You're set to go. You got what you need. This is what I get for recording at the end of the day. Oh, interesting. Mine doesn't actually appear to have included a screwdriver at all, unless it's somehow under the chassis. Funny. Don't need it, so we're okay. I'm going to leave the plate out, because we're going to need that imminently. I'm already out of places to put things on the bench, because I don't plan well. And we can get into the meat and potatoes of what's different about this from the original 65. Sha-na-na-na. I picked silver top case. I've been really into silver boards lately. Oh, they left the chunky blocker. Okay, well, there you go. And a polycarbonate bottom, which I think should be a pretty cool combo, both just like materials-wise, like aluminum against polycarbonate is sick. And for the stuff for the badges and stuff I picked out and my back accent. It should be a pretty cool combo. Magnets are back, baby. We're just going to pause right there and appreciate that. The magnetic accent has returned. They specifically called out in the announcement video that they have redesigned these magnetic back pieces to have less warp and fit better. That was an issue with the magnetic backs on the original one. Is not many, but some did come warped and wouldn't sit quite flat. And you could kind of click them back at... Why am I describing it? I have one. You kind of click it back and forth. So I'm interested to see how the fitment is on the updated one. But it is magnetic. You can see it from the top. I actually kind of like that you get the two-tone back. I know in my Tempo review I praised the full-size back piece, which I do still love, but I kind of like this two-tone here, because what happened on the original 65 is you ended up with a three-way intersection of materials. So your bottom, top, and accent all touched. And this could lead to some weird things happening, color and material combo wise. On this one, the back or the bottom is completely encapsulated by the top, and then only the accent and the top touch. So huge fan of that. Another massive thing is you see the fasteners are pointing down, down into the bottom through a fairly meaty piece of material. Another issue with the original 65, because they hide the screws under the accent, is the need for helicoils. So you can see the screw goes up through a very thin piece of material, which could be polycarbonate, keep in mind, into, in my case, polycarbonate with a helicoil in there. Are mine cracked? I think mine are cracked. I've never... That one definitely looks cracked. I can't tell if that's like glue I'm seeing on the inside. Can I feel that? Oh my god, I totally can. Holy crap. Okay, well, hey. Case in point. The wall thicknesses were way too thin on these. This was tough from the beginning. I think it was Alex Otos. His review unit didn't have the helicoils, and he had an issue even getting it together, I think. And you can see only 2 magnets. The new one has 4 magnets. So out here at the extremes and 2 in the middle. So there you go. Holy crap, I did not realize mine had... I wonder when it cracked. I guess it could have just cracked over time from the pressure. Polycarbonate can creep. So yeah, there you go. Fascinating. Well, case in point. But god, the magnetic... let's just appreciate that one more time. How easy that was. Magnets. Amazing. So, otherwise, things are pretty darn similar, as they should be. The other thing they did was they did soften the edges. Is it? Yeah, it is a barely visible chamfer. It's a very small one. The original 65 had hard corners, which looked kind of cool, but it didn't feel great handling the board. I'm already getting fingerprints and stuff all over this polycarbonate, but yeah, so really just a refinement. Oh, isn't that interesting? There, okay, so speaking of helicoils, when one of the helicoils was driven in to support my daughter board, it actually blew through the back. There's like if you've ever felt braille on a sign, there's like a braille bump right there on mine. I will be sure to report that to Mode. This is a prototype unit, so that may not happen in production. Is that one driven any further than the others? No, it's actually in less far than all the others. I wonder if there was material left in the bottom of the hole. It does look kind of dirty down there. Polycarbonate, man. It's a tricky material. I'm trying to think if there are any other changes they told me about. I don't think so. Yeah. So, silver and polycarbonate here. Stoked on that. I'm going to put this back in here for the moment. I'm going to get my badge back. So we're going to do top mount polypropylene plate. So I'll keep those out. I'll need fasteners. I won't need that daughter board. Oh, it's the no, fasteners are in the fastener bag. Duh. And then I think I'm going to do black feet based off the rest of my parts here. So I think we're done with that now. They sent me a foam kit as well, which we will be using today. I guess it might show up in some of the sound tests. But then we've got my last 2 pieces, which are my accent and weight. Now the weight is kind of confusing on it's obvious to me now. I was kind of confused what was considered the weight initially. Are both black mirror. I do need to issue a small caveat here. It sounds like to me when you, as a customer, order one of these, your badge, your little medallion guy, will be the same material as your back piece. Your bottom is. Extras will be available. You can order more if you like, but my understanding is that when you order, you will get a badge that is the same material as your bottom. So the weight is kind of the frame to the badge. So let me get this out of its box here. There you go. So this is going to be black PVD coated brass, just like on my cassette loop. Cool. So this little raised ring here is the part that actually pokes through the bottom, and on non-polycarbonate bottoms will be the only part that's visible. This actually is fairly hefty. It's a very small piece of material, but that actually is fairly hefty. If you want a heavy one of these boards, this is not going to do that. You'll definitely want to get a copper or brass bottom or other metallic bottom if you want a heavy board. And then, okay, so those two ears go towards the back. So we want to put you in like so. And then get my fasteners here. Please don't go everywhere. And so you can see on this hex key they've provided me. Oh boy, there you go. It's got a ball end on it, just so you can get into those tight fasteners. In your kit, it will be a screwdriver tip, like one of these, that will have a ball end on it. Cool, cool. Cool, cool. I'm looking for 2 countersunk screws. Countersunk, countersunk, countersunk. I'm guessing for screwing the plate and PCB together for doing hot swap, which I think requires 4 screws. So if I have 6 of these, I bet they used the same one. I have significantly more than that. Oh, I guess actually all the screws on this look countersunk. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 on the PCB. That's 10. There's no build guide out yet, or look at that. The downside of pre-release builds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep. Oh, and a rogue washer from a set of TX tabs. Cool. I'm gonna guess that that's that. Let's see what size that driver was. Probably not 1.5, was it? Oh, it was 1.5. Cool. Looked like it might have been 1.3. The only 0.9 sized drive I've seen in keyboards is the to release the dice, or the die, I guess, out of the Zemo Hibby Artisan. It uses a 0.9 drive. So there you go. 2 screws hold the badge into that. I guess I'm gonna have to take this off to get it into place. And then 4 screws hold that into there. I'm gonna reapply this film if I can. Just because fingerprints, I've done this in a dumb order and I crumpled this up. Yoink, there we go. Just gonna, it makes me feel better. Oh, no, there's dust under it. Oh well. Hopefully it'll be less fingerprinty at least. And we got 4 more countersunk screws to hold that in. So swapping this out is fairly time intensive. That's okay though. I can't imagine people are gonna do this a lot. But the back accent, baby, we are back and magnetic. I love it. Let me get my daughter board. Is this an upside down or right side up? Right side up. I'm gonna put in my wonky screw in the back first. Just make sure that helicoil is actually like, oh yeah, wow, it's actually not even letting me put that in totally straight. There we go. I will, as soon as I'm done filming here, let Mode know about that issue with mine and put something on screen. I don't know if they already know about it and they're going to tell me, hey, we're working on it, or if I'm the first one to tell them. Who knows? It's just always too bad when a review unit has a has an issue. But I'm glad to work with Mode, because they're very communicative with me about these things. And everyone, they're not just communicative with me. They were teasing the hell out of this thing in their Discord. It's funny, the Tempo was very heavily, or the Envoy rather, was very heavily NDA'd. No. The Tempo was, oh boy, wow, I've really forgotten. I've worked with Mode so many times now, I'm getting stories mixed up. One of them, the Envoy or the Tempo, I think the Tempo was very heavily NDA'd, which I guess I can talk about now that the NDA's over? Is the NDA covered by the NDA? I don't think it was. Anyway, then the loop just showed up at Keep Life. You can see it in a couple frames of my Keep Life vlog, recap video, what do you want to call those? Just showed up with it, and then the loop, Tempo, and then this one they teased quite a bit on their Discord, and they did say they were going to experiment with like release strategies. Not sure why I air quotes that so hard, and they sure are. So basically, like a week ago or so, Chris reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in reviewing?" I said, "Of course," and that was that. No paperwork. They already had my address on file. Damn, this is actually heavy. This would add quite a bit of mass to an otherwise light build. I mean, it's just a black mirror. I don't know what to tell you about that. But let's snap it on here. Woo! Okay. I think you can hear that still. A little side-to-side tapping, but like looking at it, it feels like less than on the original one. I will say I can see a slight light gap. Ooh, yeah. Mine's pretty banana shaped. Uh-oh. And I'm using it, so I'll put the box away. I don't have another one. Let me take a peek at how bent that is over the course of its length. 3 millimeters of warp over 31.5 centimeters. That is not insignificant. In their video, they specifically talked about reducing warp. Now, I do know that their production parts are currently on the boat on their way over. So I would imagine this was from a pre-production batch. They do need this one back, by the way. I don't think I said that. I don't get to keep this one. I think it was the Envoy, I could have bought it. The Tempo I got to keep. Yeah, okay, so Tempo was the NDA one, because that one I got to keep. That was payment for making a video. Loop I bought myself, because again, they just kind of just blooped that one out into existence. So I'm going to assume, going back to my original thought, that this is pre-proto. Or I guess proto, not pre-proto. And I will ask them about that. This might be a good time to say as well, Mode does not get to see my videos before I release them. So there you go. I did not put feet on this. I'm all over the place this evening. Oh, uh-oh. I am, as I believe I've talked about before, a night school student. I'm on my first day of spring break, and my brain is shutting down. So, okay, let's put some feet in here. Again, no adhesive. Cool change. Is there an obvious top to these? Yes, there is. Oh, wow, those push in there really far. That is like my one gripe with the loop feet, is one end is significantly more captured than the other in the press fit. These push in really deep into this chassis, relatively. There's not that far for them to go, but I mean, if you look at that, they're, I think, over half over halfway recessed. Oh yeah, well over halfway. Interesting. It's nice that there's no adhesive to screw up. I like that. And potentially if you have multiple feet colors, you could also match that. I think this... Damn. All right. That was kind of unceremonious to me, but that looks awesome. The black feet, the black ring, and the silver badge. Silver mirror badge with the silver top and the... Oh! Yes. Yes. Okay. Cool. This looked as awesome as I thought it might in my head. That's great. Already begin wiping the eternal string of fingerprints off of the mirror parts I have cursed myself with, but God, it just looks so good. Okay. All right, well, I guess that is chassis prepped. So, that's the feet. I'll tuck that in there, I suppose. They're probably not going to need that film back, whatever. Oh my God, I haven't even talked about other parts. I am all over the place. I really have vacation brain here, y'all. My apologies. So as I mentioned, Mil-Maxed Envoy PCB, TX Rev 4 stabilizers, Krytox 205G0 on the housings, Krytox XHTBDZ on the wires. Very typical build out for me. We're not doing any foams. We're gonna do a polypropylene plate. Very excited. I'm gonna use the roller switches, which as of just like 5 days ago, got a very good review from ThereminGoat. They are switches that have ball bearings in them and sound insane even out of the board. That's always my first test when I get a switch. I call it the cursory tippy taps. That sounds like I like my keyboards to sound, and it's not even in the board yet, and I've done this to a lot of switches. They are like frictionless thanks to those ball bearings. Stoked on that. We don't know who makes them. That part is a mystery, which is frustrating because I have a spreadsheet of all the stuff in my collection and there's just a blank cell because I don't know who the hell makes those. And then keycaps, we're gonna do retro dark lights, which is one of my very favorite PBT fans sets. Ooh, this looks different than I remembered. I thought it was all black. I might switch to the translucent apology version of this set. Is there black alphas? No. Okay. Stand by. Hang on. I am all over the place. Do retro dark lights again, but the semi-transparent version. Yes, I'm preferring that. I may change my mind. I waffled hard about keycaps on this, but I guess that's just a free sound test if I think of something else I could put in there. So, yay, free content. All right, I'm gonna need that. Let me free some space up on the little sidekick table I have here. I think I'm done with my other 65 for the moment. Really what I wanted to talk about was how the screws looked on the back, only to discover that my own board has fallen victim to the cracking polycarbonate. That's fascinating to me. As usual, for the way I do plates and all that good stuff, put in the two switches furthest apart that have 1U holes in the plate. Don't use like the space or the enter where it's chaos. That way you can kind of lock the orientation of the plate. We are going to insert there, insert there. Great, those have nice long legs on them. And then I'm going to bust out some plate forks. The plate forks are the same thickness as the air gap between the plate and PCB, and with the really soft plates, these help install your switches. So I'm going to go ahead and clip all my switches in. I'll be right back with you. those clipped into that like a dream. I'm realizing I have just a buttload of screws here. I've got 4 of these button head ones. I've got 4 of these longer, no, 6 of these longer socket cap. Oh, 5 of those. Oh, and that's an extra daughter board one. Oh, top mount. Duh. Do those fit through these holes? They don't. Do those fit through those holes? They do. What the hell are you for? Wait, Chris said I was gonna have to screw in an accent at some point? Oh. I wonder if these are just already in my board. And this is like a whole hardware kit. I was just looking over at this while snapping and switches. I'm like, that's a lot of screws left. I'm almost done with assembling this. Oh boy. Okay. Well, there you go. That's that. We are going to do a quick test-a-rooney of the PCB. I know the PCB works. I was using it like yesterday, but I would like to make sure all my switches clipped in. They clipped in phenomenally easily. But always like to check. Oh, fun. That'll actually just rest like that because that's how big it's supposed to be. All right, you know what? Let's try Via. I'm ready to get hurt again. Via makes me so sad these days. It used to be so good. Yeah, nope. Should have guessed that. Okay, well, sad face. Let's try Vial. $10 says I end up in Chrome using the Via web app, and I'll be sad. But let's see if it shows up in Vial. Why not? Nope, that'd be too easy. All right, Google Chrome. Where are you? There you are. I'm so excited to try these switches. I was like really excited when I got them, and then I kind of forgot about them, and then Goat's review came out. He had blue ones. These ones are black ones from KBD fans. I'm so excited to try them again. Yeah, okay, Via web app works. Okay. It popped up. I'm like, wow, it already has my mapping. Yeah, no duh, buddy. This is your PCB. Yay. Success. Get out of here, Chrome. Okay. So the keyboard part of the keyboard works. You'd love to see it. Chapa. I guess you can sit there for the moment. I guess opening this up is the next part, so I'll need to magnetically pop off my accent. Okay, you can lay down. That's fine. It's late. Oh, yes. Okay, totally. That's what the angled screwdriver is for. These back screws are kind of in like a little alcove. So you see, like, looking from the top, you can see like half the head. They're in like a little niche in the back of the board. That is exactly why you need an angled or a ball end driver that can engage at an angle. Yarp. Yep, that's exactly it. And so, okay, these are, I think these are definitely those screws I was confused about. Okay, all coming together. So, case screws that I don't need, top mount screws that I will be using, extra daughter board screw, and those will be the screws to screw a hot swap PCB to the plate. Okay, all right. Everything's copacetic, we're good. I'll be very interested to see how these fasten into the bottom case. I am still just like gobsmacked that my PC65 is cracked. Whoop! Oh, well, okay, that's fun. A screw just like jumped out and stuck to the accent magnet. That was pretty funny. All right, ka-chow. Ah, okay, yep. So pretty much exactly as I would have guessed. Still helicoils into the PC. Obviously in a metal bottom it would just be threads, but a significantly chunkier piece of material that the helicoils go into. Helicoils, whatever. Johnny Bench called. Great. That answers that. Pretty similar bottom to the original one, other than the addition of the new weight and badge, which really just, the polycarbonate looks so good. I love that. And doesn't have the little tabs sticking off the back because they integrated the screws. Oh, it's less complicated geometry back here too. Oh, and you know what? Looking at this, damn near, if not all of this can be machined while it's in this one position. They did say they made manufacturing easier. Lit. Okay, that's pretty cool. This is why I really like, I think I say this in every Mode video, this is why I really like getting inside these keyboards from Mode, is because you get to see, like, the story. Oh, and they've still got those little pads in there that the bottom case rests on. And they got the little nooks for the lattice blocks. Oh, that's interesting. The blocker actually has a step in it. It gets just a little bit thicker towards the top. I wonder if that's to, like, reduce the gap between the PCB that's visible? No, that doesn't make sense. I mean, it's got to be an aesthetic choice. When I look at it from the top, I can't really tell. But maybe it makes the blocker just that much bigger and look a little nicer. Sides and front, pretty unremarkable. But honestly, I say unremarkable. That's actually what I really like about the 65 and 80 design, is how monolithic they look. That's a fairly sharp edge right there. Won't be exposed during use. So that's, I think, a-okay. Are those helicoils, or is that just like tapping fluid residue? I think that's just tapping fluid residue. Oh, you know what? That might actually be hook marks from anodizing. Yeah, I bet that's exactly what it is. Which makes sense. That's like a great use for the top mount points. Cool. Yeah, this is definitely much improved from the original. I'm into it. Good job, Mode. Lattice blocks. So the lattice blocks have gotten just a little bit better every time they've used them on a board. So now we've got your traditional full stack lattice block, where you just got the solid bit up top that the little pokey bit of the plate goes into, and then full lattice, quite squishy. You've got your half lattice, which is the same stiffness of lattice, but half as much of it. So you can see the top and bottom are solid now, so still soft, not nearly as much travel, though. You got your black lattice blocks, which are full lattice, but significantly stiffer. I really like these in my loop. In the tempo, I like something a little bouncier. So, much stiffer. You actually see it like the little pocket is collapsing before the lattice even does. Yeah, those are pretty stiff. Then you've got the solid, no, is that solid? Yes, the solid lattice block, which is about 70A hardness, similar to a lot of O-ring boards in terms of firmness. Obviously not the same physics going on, but about that firmness. Quite hard. And then the new member of the family, the top mount block. So this little roof that's on the towards the top of your screen right now goes between the top case of the board and the little tongues on the plate. So it achieves the isolated top mount of the 65 and Sonnet did before, but using the lattice system. I think this is very clever and just a great use of the 3D printing technology they're using. This is the kind of thing where if you like created a mold for this and were injection molding these, this would be a whole new tool. Certainly you'd have some experience from doing it before, but with these being 3D printed by Carbon 3D, it's just a different file, and you print them. Probably some different post-processing, I wouldn't be surprised about that, but it's just what it is. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, and there's even a couple different geometries here. There's rectangular ones and kind of half moon ones. The rectangular ones look like they go up here, and the half moon ones tuck into little niches in there. Interesting, because those are both solid blocks, for reference. I was kind of looking through these and noticed there was a bit of variation. I wonder if I'd missed a type, but it's a different shape. Again, that would be 2 separate injection molding tools if they did this via injection molding, but they're doing it via Carbon's 3D process. So it's just another file. Comes off the same machine, I bet. Same model of machine, maybe not the same serial number of machine, but you know what I mean. So then, okay, we got rectangle, 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 half moon, half moon. So these, I'll just tuck one in here. So that's an empty one right there. Oh, it's also got the USB-C port. A cutout. Oh, no, never mind. No, there's just a hole there. Never mind. Yeah. So this is kind of the empty one. You see that's the top mount point right there. And there's kind of this I keep saying niche. That's not really what this is because it's open on the top. But this cutout here. And then you just tuck your little top mount block in there. Your screw hole is still accessible, but it isolates the plate PCB assembly from the rest of the keyboard. Clever, like that. Huge fan of the Lattice system. Just a great idea. Big fan. Okay, and then these ones do tuck into what I would describe as a niche. It's funny, when I mean like the thing you're particularly good at, like your market, I say niche. But when it's like a hole in the wall type shelf, I say niche. No idea why. Probably a Canadian thing. Great, we got those in there. These 4 holes are going to be where these screws go down into that. Cool. It's coming together. I don't think we've got much more left to learn in here. I do like how the USB-C port just does have a little cutout in the top here. Just makes the whole thing feel a little more unified in kind of an interesting way that like that geometry just carries through. Dig it. All right, let's do this. I'm going to guess like previous ones, you kind of insert the bottom tabs first. Yep. Then these drop in. Yep. Good guess, Ian. There you go. If you're doing full-on lattice blocks, you'd push them onto the protrusions of the plate. And same deal, kind of drop the bottom of the PCB and then let the top fall in. A classic user metaphor for Mode. And I guess mini keyboards for that matter, but I think Mode, damn near every board you do that way. You drop in the bottom and then the top kind of falls into place. Oh, come on, go to your home. Okay, this is like visually over the hole. Am I losing my mind? I'm also having a hard time grabbing that, so let me get a pair of tweezies here. It's like an optical illusion, like the tip of the screw was in the hole. But it wouldn't. Okay, well, now it passes right in. So clearly it wasn't. That was weird. And then I'm just going to do these down just finger tight. So I'm just gripping the upright part of my wrench. That's all the more torque I'm going to put on those. Just till it slips in my fingers. What I need to do is I need to get like a precision torque screwdriver so I can really make sure I'm setting those consistently. That was actually one of my ideas for my Envoy content when that came out. I misunderstood what the retention screws did in the whole stack up and thought that setting the tension of those might change things, which actually in the production units it does a little bit, but I thought it'd be like even more so I was going to get like a torque screwdriver and do like sound tests at different torques and be real scientific about it. Ended up kind of not mattering. So I think just coarse controlling my torque like that will be a-okay here. Man, I'm jazzed the 65 is back. It kind of came back out of nowhere. Now I have one in front of me. Like this one's happened very quickly. The tempo, there was a lot of build up. The loop, there was quite a wait from Keeblife to when it went on sale. Or actually, not that long, now that I think about it. But just very, very different release approaches, as Mode said they were going to utilize. So I've now flipped the back of the board to face me. The way these bottoms go in is there's a little tongue sticking out here that slots into a groove in the top case, like so. And then the whole thing kind of clamshells shut, but you gotta plug your daughter board cable in, which can the B cam see that? Yes, actually, there you go. So the way I do this is I just kind of like slide it across the PCB, and it goes into place. Now I've misaligned something. Why are you unhappy with me? Oh, I think I just went to too high of an angle. Okay, well, there you go. If you lift it up too high, it'll kick the tongue out. Boom. That is sharp looking. All right. Oh, and then you flip it upright to screw it together. Man, this is so weird compared to the... Wait, was the other 65 screws? No, they were going through the bottom case into the top. Yeah, so you did the whole thing upside down. Fascinating. I do think I like the shape of these feet better, the capsule shape, instead of kind of the more rectilinear ones here. I like that they're not adhesive. That's a huge improvement. Interesting. Oh, and then the lattice blocks, the bead cam, we'll see that the lattice blocks actually stick out the back. Just a scooch. There's very little excess material on this board. It is really the least amount of material they could get away with in almost every place, which I guess is really kind of like a whole metaphor for Mode's thing. There's not like a lot of stuff where it doesn't need to be. Even on, like, you look at like the original 80, it has, in the 2022 for that matter, it has quite a big forehead on it, but when you actually look inside, there's not a lot of like excess material in there. The bottom was quite thick on that one because it was designed for stack mount and remains one of my favorite feeling and sounding keyboards of all time. Bring back foam stack mount mode, please. I miss it. But there's, you really look at a Mode part, there's not a lot of bonus material hanging out. Not that that's always a bad thing. The Rama U80 is a very chunky keyboard that I love. A lot of extra material on that board, just kind of hanging out. But it's part of the design, so you know that's how it goes. And then we are going to. Oh, magnets. How do they work? Seriously, someone tell me how magnets work. And there we go. Ooh, yeah, you can. That's my back accent. I'll definitely be messaging them about that. What was the other thing? Oh, the polycarbonate blow through on the bottom from the helicoil. I will, as soon as I'm done here, shoot Chris a message, and they will message me when they wake up, because it's midnight 30 on the East Coast. Are we done with tools? We're done with tools. Great. I'll tuck these away. And it's keycap time. So I'm doing retro dark lights, transparent. I called this the apology set. The original retro dark lights had kind of shining issues on some of the keycaps. My set's actually pretty good. So everyone who bought that set got one of these for free with the semi-transparent caps from PBT fans, which I love the look of. I've used this set a lot. I think that'll look nice with the silver and black and mirror motif. And then I've grabbed 3 of my black mirror artisans. We'll see which one of those looks best. I forget what set this was. The Rama 4. It's the one with like the really deep chamfer on the frame. You see how there's no reflection at the front of that keycap because there's a chamfer there. Redacted? Minimal? I forget which one. White Rama X on polished black brass. Oh, I think it's got to be that one, right? Because then it's like that one. And then this was GMK Galaxy or something. This is a Thok one. I mean, it's got to be the X, not I've said it because it's also black brass. Anywho, I'm going to put on keycaps. I'll be right back with you. Yeah, this looks awesome. Big fan of that. I almost kind of want to put GMK Minimal on here now, though. I think that could be a cool look as well. I also just love Minimal. What a good set. I also feel like this could look cool with like a monochromatic set, like Crimson Cadet, Royal Cadet, what was Nuke Data. Yeah, like a non-Dolch, just like single color set. I think would look good on this build. Yeah, I think it's got to be this one, right? Because it's also black polished brass. I'm not sure it's PVD, but it's definitely black and shiny brass. And so it's thematically. Oh, it says it right there on the back. Minimal 2. This was Minimal. Okay. Redacted was the black on white one. Okay. As always the trick with these is putting it on without getting fingerprints on the sides. Oop. Oh, no. Is that not going on at all, or is it slipping right off? Okay, cool. We need to shim this one. The way I do that is I get a piece of Kapton tape. Let me make sure I do this on a part of my desk mat that's visible. I stick it down to my work mat, accidentally peel up part of the end of it. That's not on purpose. And then I cut a 5mm square out, or thereabouts. It doesn't need to be super precise. I take that little piece of Kapton. You can see it there on the tip of my little craft knife. Here, oh no, why did I think my camera would focus on that? There we go. As that little guy. And then I place it so the corners are in line with the parts of the stem. That was ambiguous. So it's in line like that, so it looks like a diamond compared to the keycap, like so. I once again pick up the keycap using a microfiber cloth and give the edges a little wipe, because it's like impossible to wipe off the edges of an artisan. Once it's on the board, the top you can wipe off all day. And then as you push that onto the switch stem, it kind of crumples that Kapton into the, and there you go. Now it's not going to come off. And then I get the extra little bits Kapton up off my bench. Yeah. Yeah. Put away my craft knife. Get the little tiny bits of friggin' tape off my hands. There we go. And admiration time. From the top, I love this. The black mirror, silver with these keycaps. I can see the plate quite clearly, so the plate being black, I think would be nice. I'd like to see that. There are black plates available, I'm sure the aluminum one or something. Side profile. Oh, well, let me bring in the other one. This would be like the perfect moment for that. It's obviously polycarbonate versus aluminum, but you know, you get the drift. So like these edges are really sharp. Just a nice, very minimal chamfer here. Almost not even a chamfer, it's just like the edge is broken. But then you can see full length, or full coverage back. It doesn't go nearly down to the desk. This one, just the top half of the back is accent. Both are great. It's 65% 80, and again, the 80 is like one of the prettiest keyboards in my opinion. Front, nothing to write home about, so I'm not even gonna look at the front. They are the same. Will you stand on your front? Okay, good lad. Back, you can see even more clearly here. Full coverage, half and half. I like this though. This is a good look. I think the only way this could be a little bit cooler, and the physics don't work, is if the USB port was centered at like the material split. I think that could be a very cool look. It's almost kind of hard to see because it's like just a black void, although it's also against the black back of my other 65. There we go. Okay, at least from my perspective, that's a little easier to see now. Yeah, you don't get that weird three-way intersection of material. Like right here, black, polycarbonate, white. The polycarbonate, in my case, is just fully surrounded by the silver aluminum, and then the accent kind of stands alone. You can see the USB-C ports really cut in to this accent. On the updated one, it's just a little cut in to the top case. And that brings us very organically to the bottom of the board. Oh my god, that black aluminum's disgusting. I'm so sorry. The bottom of the board. I somehow got a fingerprint directly where I didn't want it. Damn, this looks really, really good. I think this would look even cooler without a polycarbonate bottom, so you can't kind of see how the sausage is made, so to speak. I think if I were to order this board, I would swap the polycarbonate bottom for the silver mirror bottom. I think the black feet and the black ring and the black accent are killer. I think that combo would even look really great with a colored top case. Oh, or with a white top case. Whew. Man, there are some options here. This is phenomenal, though. This looks so good. Got a little schmutz on my badge. The dangerous place for a keyboard to be. I have greasy hands. There's dust and smutches, schmutzes. I do like the feet better, seeing them side by side now. Although, they actually kind of, looking up at the camera monitor, these do look more proportionate, I might say. Well, but it's weird. In the camera monitor, these feet look huge. Looking down at them, they look more proportionate. Looking down at these, they look too small. Looking up at the camera monitor, they look more proportionate. So, I don't know, take that as you will. Walls are thinner here. You can see there's a lot more material. Front's about the same. Just the sides are thinner. Same tongue and groove placement for that bottom. Again, nothing really to write home about on the front. On the polycarbonate, it's kind of interesting, I guess, because you can see what's going on in there. And then from the back, stay. Yoink. Yeah, 2 more magnets. So you got the outer magnets that are not present on the original. Exposed lattice. There's no lattice on here. This was top or stack mount. And USB-C. Yeah, just manufacturing and assembly wise, this is, I think, worth the trade for a full height accent. You know, depending on your taste, it might not even be a trade. You might just like this way more. For me, I think I prefer the full back. No, you know what? Seeing the side profile, I think I'm also sold on the top half. I think from the side, this is a more interesting look. That little nugget of material poking out. Again, actually kind of like the U80, where the weight wraps up around the side just a little bit. You just get a little hint of it. But then as the user, you still get to enjoy it from the top as if it were a full back accent, and you don't end up with the weird 3-way intersection of material. I think I'm team half cent instead of whole cent. Does that make sense? I thought that was funny, and then I said it, and I'm not sure it's funny. It's also bedtime. This feels heavier. I guess the heaviest piece of material is the bottom on this board. So that makes sense because this is polycarbonate instead of metal. They're close. That's definitely heavier. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Oh boy, okay, I think it's time to end the video. There will be sound tests. I imagine probably just comparing the different lattice blocks, unless I think of something else cool. Or I guess it'll be lattice versus top mount. Yeah, that's got to be it, because that's the new feature. I imagine people will be pretty excited to hear these roller switches. I'm excited to type on them and finally give them a shot here. I might do a GNK set as well. I want to turn this video around pretty quickly. Mode's video came out yesterday. I'd love to have my video out before theirs is a week old. And certainly before pre-orders open, which I think is mid-April, early April. I'll put it on screen. Future Ian will put it on screen. Thank you, Future Ian. But I am stoked on that. Huh? Yeah. I like it. I think it's a very good upgrade to a tried and true, oh boy, tried and true and well-loved keyboard. That'd be a good thumbnail with just like the glint of the Mode logo. Yeah. Yeah, that's the interesting part of this board. It's always tricky with keyboard thumbnails. I don't put a lot of effort. This is my super inside baseball. No one cares about this. Why am I talking about this? I don't put a lot of effort into thumbnails. I don't care. This is a hobby. But it is really difficult to make a picture of a keyboard stand out on a thumbnail, which I get is my most content creators do, you know, some like shocked face nonsense. I'm not doing that. But this is pretty iconic looking. I think people would recognize that angle right there where the light is just catching the edges of the weight and badge. I mean, that's the thumbnail. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm gonna keep dropping this board. Very excited to live on and type on this for a bit. Please enjoy the sound tests. There will be at least Lattice comparison, maybe a GMK set thrown in there, but I only have the polypropylene plate, so it'll definitely be that. It'll be the roller switches, unless I discover some heinous issue with them, in which case I'll append something to the end of this video before the sound tests. So I think it'll probably just be, trying out the different Lattice blocks. I think walking through the stiffnesses could be interesting. Or I guess really it's tricky to do kind of a round robin with more than 3 variables. As soon as you put a 4th in, you have to do a lot more jumping back with the AB. So what I might do, because this is like the firmest mount for sure, the top mount. So I think what I'll do is I'll do top mount, solid lattice block, because then that'll tell us what it's like to transfer the energy through the bottom case instead of through the top case. So full block, solid block, and then I'll do normal lattice. I think that'll be the 3 that I will do for sure. That way I can just loop those, and that way each pair gets a nice AB back to back. And then if I do a GMK set, I can just run through it again. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll definitely go through lattice block types. Maybe I'll do a GMK set as well. I really want to see GMK minimal on here, really is what it is. With the mono kit. So instead of having 2 legends on a lot of these keys, there's just the one. I love that child kit, and more GMK sets need to do mono kits. Minimal's just a great set in general too. Okay, that's enough gushing. I thank you all so much for watching. I thank you, Mode, for continuing to send me prototypes and stuff. Leave me a comment if you got a question or feedback for me. This is a bit of a chaos brain episode, so I hope you... installment, see? So I hope you enjoyed that. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you loved it. It's free, and you can unsubscribe the moment you're bored of watching a guy talk about keyboards. And again, if you're going to buy a Mode product, my affiliate link will be available to you to support the channel. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.